Okay, we got a little bit of a problem. It says my thermostat here is in heat mode, and then it's heating, except it's currently 64 degrees in the bedroom. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to solve for that problem.
Okay, so, right, I have the two furnaces. Just finished this one, that's for the upstairs of the house. This is for the downstairs. This is really the one that's having the problems, where the Nest thermostat says that it's heating, but it's not, okay? And, you know, what can we tell immediately by looking at this furnace? Well, first of all, it's installed horizontally, right? When you install it in this way, in this exact way, the igniter needs to be at the bottom and the flame sensor needs to be at the top, okay? But they didn't move the positions when they installed this. They did not relocate the igniter and the flame sensor. They're reversed, okay? Will it work like this? Yes. Might you have problems with this configuration? Potentially, yes. So, you know, I'm gonna clean all the jets, all the flutes. I'm gonna clean the flame sensor. I'm gonna clean the igniter, and I'm gonna switch the locations of those. And then everything should be good to go after that, but we'll find out in a second. Okay, so here we have the igniter. This is the igniter. This kind of gets like red hot, and this is used to, you know, ignite the gas. And this is our flame sensor to determine when the flame is on versus not on. You know, how are we cleaning these? Okay, so you can use like a 1500 or 2000 grit sandpaper and sand this down. I just used this Dremel with the spinning wheel and very, very carefully just, you know, kind of went over this. And then I have a buffing wheel, so I just, you know, buffed it on this side, buffed it on that side, and then wiped it off clean. So that's how it looks. It should look, you know, pretty clean all around. And the igniter, you don't want to sand this because it has a special coating on it. But you can just clean this, right? So you can just get kind of like a toothbrush and a rag and clean this to the best of your ability. It doesn't really need to be all that clean, but it does help. Okay, if it turns out like you need a new flame sensor, I'll put a link to buy one of these on Amazon. They're pretty much standard across all furnaces. These are my jets or flutes or jets. They call them flutes or jets. And I actually removed these. It was pretty simple to remove them. Just two screws holding them in on each side, and then they just come right out. Because I just couldn't clean them effectively with the equipment that I have. So I, you know, washed them really, really good in the sink with hot soapy water and blasted water through there. And then I used this data vac duster, and I'll put a link in Amazon to pick one of these up too. If you don't, you know, if you don't have something like this, it's fantastic just to have around the house. I use this to clean out the keyboards on my computers, laptops, my desktop PC, all of the fans, the inside of the desktop PC. You can use this on your laptop cooling systems. If your laptops have cooling systems, you can use it. You can also use this to clean out like the coils underneath and on the backside of your refrigerator. I use this in my car to clean out the air vents and nooks and crannies in my car as well. It's absolutely fantastic. You can use it to blow up balloons too, or air mattresses, right? Comes with a bunch of different attachment pieces. But, you know, if you don't want to buy an air compressor and have an air compressor, like this is the next best thing. It's not exactly high pressure air, but it's high volume air, okay? High volume. And that's what's really key about it. Plus, you know, even if you have an air compressor, you don't want to have to be lugging that thing all around your house for every little job that you want to do. You can take this up into the attic very easily, do what you need to do. So definitely get one of these. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall these in the upstairs furnace, put these guys back in, and we're going to fire it up. And then I'll do the same thing for the downstairs furnace because they're both installed at the same time and equally aged. So we'll get cracking. Okay, so I flipped, these are fire sensors right here, excessive heat or fire sensors, in case there's an internal fire, right? So what I've done here is that's the hole down there for the igniter, and that right there is the hole for the flame sensor. Okay, previously it was installed this way. with the hole for the igniter at the top. And in order to get that hole at the bottom, we have to flip this like this, okay? So I basically installed these sensors on the flip side, and you can see like the little thing there. I basically punched it out on this side, right? So I can get those in. And we're gonna stick this guy in like that, backwards, so that the flame sensor is at the top, which is where it should be here. I just pulled through a little bit more cable here so we can have a bit more extension for the igniter here. And we're gonna go ahead and put the flutes back in. I got them all cleaned up. And then we're gonna fire it up. Okay, definitely make sure you don't have any wires, you know, on the inside of this cavity here, right? So we got this on the outside here. I've effectively flipped, you know, that's our igniter down there. So the igniter's at the bottom. And then we have our flame sensor right up there, nice and clean. Right there, sticking through at the top. Okay, so let's go ahead and fire this bad boy up. We'll turn the power on, boom, and we'll activate it. And then we'll see how it goes. Okay. So I'll just point this out while we're waiting, but see that red light on the motherboard there, on the main board? On the back side of the door, the panel for this cavity, it'll tell you how to read error codes off that light bulb. In this case, if it's solid, steady red, that means everything is fully operational. But if it's blinking or anything like that, you check the back side of your door, it'll tell you more or less exactly what's going on with the system. Okay, I've actuated the thermostat up to 72. And we'll just monitor what's going on in here. So we should see the igniter. Yep, there goes the igniter. Getting nice and red hot at the bottom down there. Should be kicking on any second. Gas in. Boom, full flame. Heat stage right now, okay? So it's in a lower, you know, first stage of heating, right? And that could go up to 12 minutes, and then it'll kick up to a second stage. So I'm definitely going to save money by having that little toggle switch there in the two-stage mode. That's going to help me save money on my heating costs. So that's fantastic, because thanks to Joe Biden, I'm paying twice what I was during Trump's first term in office. Ridiculous. So we hope to see in the next year or two, you know, energy prices start to come down. But this is working properly now, and we've got our igniter and our sensor in the correct position by flipping that panel over. So, you know, you think sometimes when somebody's installing these things, like, you assume like, oh, this person's a professional, they know what they're doing, but that's obviously not always the case. All right, I'm just going to throw this part in for fun, but we talked about how, you know, this was supposedly installed by a professional. You see this gas flex tube? Okay? Right? If these straps break and this unit falls down, right? This gas tube right here, it should be okay because it's coming in the downward position, right? But let's say that we have lateral movement. Okay, let's say we have lateral movement. Okay, does this flex line have enough slack in it to support lateral movement this way or this way? Okay, right? No, it doesn't. So I actually have to replace this gas line with a longer flexible gas line so we have a little bit more slack. You know, on this side, it's fine. This has plenty of slack for any degree of lateral, horizontal, vertical movement. We're good here. But over here, we got a problem. So this is a safety risk. This should never have passed the inspector, right? The city code enforcement, building code inspector should never have passed this. And then the other thing that you're going to want to check, especially if you have a furnace, right? in your attic, right, is to make sure that your exhaust vents are properly grounded. Okay, you gotta have, you know, 12 to 14 gauge ground wires, solid copper, not braided, solid, you know, running in. Anything that's protruding, anything that's metal that's protruding through the roof needs to be grounded. And I have a ground distribution block around here somewhere where everything hooks in, but you got to have that grounded. And yeah, here's my ground distribution block, right? And you can see there I have probably a 4 or 5 gauge solid copper that runs off that way, and that goes to a larger copper rod that goes down into the ground, into the soil, about 3 or 4 feet down. But you got to have that, especially if you live anywhere where you have lightning storms. Also, make sure your gas line's grounded. You know, make sure your connections are tight, that they're not loose if you're up here, because if you have a lightning strike and it hits this and it's not grounded, 1, this thing is fried. 2, you're going to have a fire in your attic real quick.